Hello everyone and welcome back to the ESO show. This is episode 4 and I would first like to start off by saying that I apologize that this episode is out so late. I've had a lot of internet issues this past weekend and finally they are resolved, so I'm able to upload this video for you guys and I'm very excited about that. I'm also going to be changing the format of the show just a little bit. I'm actually going to be knocking the questions for me and for the Elder Scrolls Online on Twitter down to 3 each. Previously I was doing 5 for both Elder Scrolls Online and 5 for me, but I felt like the episodes were getting a little bit lengthy and I just felt like I was kind of rambling on about some stuff. So I want to knock each of those down to 3 for a total of sort of 6 questions that are going to be answered. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our developer question of the week, and here we go.
Hi, my name's Eric Bakutis, and I'm a lead content designer on the Elder Scrolls Online. This is your question of the week. While scouting in Cyrodiil, you come across a group of 3 enemy soldiers camped around a fire. You have the element of surprise on your side. The first soldier is in plate armor and wields a staff. Another's in robes and has a bow. The third is in leathers and wields a 2-handed axe. How would you go about dispatching this group?
All right, so the question was, how would you go about dispatching this group? And I think for me personally, because I tend to play more melee style than anything, I would probably want to get rid of the ranged attackers first, both the archer and the mage. That's probably what I would do if I was trying to strategically do this. And the way I normally play, I'm lying here, because the way I normally play is I probably just would run in and just be like, Leroy Jenkins, and then just try and just own everybody. And if I die, I die. But if I was gonna be strategic about this, which I'm gonna try and train my brain to do for this game specifically, I would probably take out a bow of my own and start taking out the archer first, and then probably the mage. I feel like it's easier to dodge magic than it is arrows. I don't know why. Maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. Maybe if it's homing magic, it's like, oh, we're gonna follow you. It's like a homing missile. There's no getting away from us here. Then, yeah, I might try and take out the mage first. But either way, I'm confident in my melee skills, which would then leave the guy with the 2-handed axe for me to deal with after that, and we'll mop them up. And then, hey, once that's done, there's nothing left to do but loot their camp and loot their bodies, because that's always fun. So how would you guys go about dispatching this group? What would you do? What kind of tactics would you use? I do think also it would be fun to like sneak up on them and slit one of them in the throat. Yeah, freaking hardcore. Hardcore! All right, so now we're gonna move on to the Twitter questions of the week for the Elder Scrolls Online that I am answering. And the first question comes from David Bryant, who says, are there plans to expand conjuration? Will you be able to conjure shields and armor as well as weapons? Elder Scrolls Online says, players can summon weapons, armor, and creatures in ESO, though the schools of magic vary from previous games. My thoughts on this? I would love more conjuration. Conjuration is quite fun, especially when you have a spell that one of your friends doesn't, and you're like, hey, check out this little minion I just spawned. They're like, what? That's freaking cool. So I love that conjuration is obviously in this. It's an Elder Scrolls game. It should have conjuration. But the thing that I have questions about, to be honest, is when they say the schools of magic vary from previous games. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. It's frustrating because I want the traditional schools of magic there. I'm not saying that they're not. Maybe they are, but maybe they're called something else. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on this, but I'll look a little bit more into it and let you guys know should another question like this come up. All right, this next question comes from @Mr. Ganjaman, who says, at Elder Scrolls Online, can you guys tell me when this game will arrive on PC and what the price is so I can kind of know when to have my money ready? Elder Scrolls Online says, we haven't announced a purchase price for ESO, but we'll share that information closer to the game's release in spring 2014. So the main reason I picked this question was that I wanted to sort of clear the record for something that I actually talked about in the very first episode of the ESO show. And that was that I mentioned or said that the price point for the game itself was going to be 60 bucks. That was rumor. I should not have said that, and I apologize for saying that, but that was rumor. Elder Scrolls Online says they currently have not released a price point yet. We do know that the subscription fee will be $15 a month, but we don't know what it will cost upfront to buy the game. So I think a lot of people are assuming 60 bucks just because that's sort of like the industry standard at this point for what games are going for on launch day and sort of how much they cost when they hit the market. It could be less. I'm really hoping it's not more, but there is no definitive answer yet, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see what they say. All right, so the final question for the Elder Scrolls Online on Twitter comes from @SeamusWho, who says, will dual wielders or archers be able to block in ESO? Would be neat to have to manage blocking as one of those classes. Elder Scrolls Online says, yes, you'll be able to block with any weapon. This ESO knowledge base article provides further detail. And they link the article down below if you guys want to check that out. I'll put it in the description. I like that you can block with any weapon. That makes things really fun. It makes things a little bit more strategic. You can't just run into a battle and say, oh, this guy has a specific weapon, he's not going to be able to block any of my attacks. No, in fact, he's going to be able to. Any weapon can block, or so they say. So I think that's quite cool. All right, so now we're gonna move on to some news for this week. And the first piece of news I wanna talk about relates to me and this show. And that is that every week, Elder Scrolls Online puts out a little newsletter called the Tamriel Chronicles, which sort of features fan art and cosplay photos, blogs, written articles, videos like this. And actually, they went ahead and featured in the video section all first 3 episodes of the ESO show by yours truly. So I'm very honored. That is a really cool thing. That's awesome that they've noticed these videos and these episodes. And thank you so much for you Swifters for all of your interaction, both with them on Twitter and myself. It helped me get recognized by Zenimax Online, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, just wanted to sort of mention that. So who knows, maybe this episode will be in next week's. Regardless, if you do want to check out the Tamriel Chronicle, I will link that down below as well. And like I said, it's a weekly thing that they do on their website. Also in the world of news, the Elder Scrolls Online last week released some images around the heavy armor and what those are going to look like for some specific classes. I'll throw the images on the screen here so you guys can check those out for yourself, but they look amazing. So they've released so far heavy armor concept art for High Elves, Nords, and Bretons, as well as Red Guards, Wood Elves, and Dark Elves. And I've got to say, the Dark Elves heavy armor looks really ridiculously cool, and so does the High Elf. I think those are honestly my 2 favorite. I'm not a heavy armor guy myself, but I would say that probably my 2 favorite looking pieces of armor, sets of armor I should say, out of both of these images are definitely the Dark Elf and the High Elf. Those look freaking fierce. I do like some aspects of the Nord's heavy armor, which is good for me because that's what class I'm going to be playing. But like I said, I don't typically use heavy armor. I'm really hoping that they give some love to the light armor. I feel like the Elder Scrolls games lately haven't really given much attention to light armor. I remember back in Morrowind, glass armor was the best. It looked really ridiculously cool, the stats were really good, and it was really hard to find. And when you did get a full set of glass armor, it was very rewarding. And you could look at your character and you would look awesome. Like, you absolutely looked awesome. I felt that glass armor in Skyrim just was kind of lackluster. It looked a lot like elven armor. It just didn't really do it much for me. It still looks cool, but it wasn't that over-the-top, really epic light armor, you know, high-grade light armor class that it was in Morrowind. So I'm really hoping that light armor also gets some love in Elder Scrolls Online. But if you're a heavy armor user, take a look at those art concepts because I think they look freaking cool. The last bit of news I have for you guys this week is that the emote contest is still running. You have until the 27th to submit your emote idea to Elder Scrolls Online, and they actually, I believe, have a playlist on their YouTube channel for all the submissions that they've accepted so far. And if you guys want to check those out, I'll put the link down below that as well. But yeah, if you guys want to send those in, just make sure you get it in by the 27th because I think that's when the contest is over. All right, and now the final portion of our show in which I take questions from you Swifters. So the first question comes from @CaptainRedCup, who says, do you think that one profile can have many characters, i.e. I pay for one account and have 2 characters? My answer to this question is going to be probably yes. I mean, I don't have a definitive answer on this, but I think it'd be really dumb for them not to do this. And I'm almost positive, let's just say I'm 95% positive that yes, you'll be able to make multiple characters. Let's go even to 99, and here's why. The reason I think you'll be able to have multiple characters is because if you only had one character, if you only had the ability to have one character, that's going to lock you into one storyline. You're not going to be able to experience the full game as easily. You will be able to experience the full game even with just one character. By that I mean, if you play with one character, you'll go through your entire quest line in that province or that alliance that you're currently in. From there, you can then play through the other quest lines, I believe, at a higher level. The reason I say that yes, you will most likely be able to make more than one character comes down to this. If you want to just play through a little bit of each alliance, I think that they're definitely going to give you the ability to create multiple characters. If you want to create a Nord and go through, sort of work your way through the Ebonheart Pact, but then you log on one day and you say, hey, I want to check out and see what the Aldemary Dominion is all about, and I want to see what that land is all about. You make a new character, you make him a high elf or whatever, and you can explore that as well. So no, I don't think you're going to have one character. I'm guessing that there's definitely going to be multiple available to you. I don't know how many you're going to be able to make, but it's definitely, I think, gonna be more than 3. This next question comes from Facebook, and it comes from Brandon Collar, who says, if you could learn more about a particular aspect of Elder Scrolls lore, what would it be? This is a really good question, and I probably should have thought about my answer before I recorded this video, because I honestly don't know. There is so much lore and so much to learn about the Elder Scrolls universe. It's hard to know where to begin, to be honest. The stuff that I think fascinates me the most is any lore that sort of pertains to like the Battle of Red Mountain, the disappearance of the dwarves, and all the stuff sort of that took place around the lore and the history of Morrowind. Like I said, that was my favorite game in the Elder Scrolls series. I don't know, I just think that area, that location is really intriguing to me. I'm really looking forward to playing Elder Scrolls Online though, and being able to check out more cities on the mainland and not just Vardenfell. I'm really hoping that they'll have cities like Blacklight that I can go visit, because I've heard a little bit about that in the Dragonborn DLC. And so I just think it'd be really neat to explore some of that territory and maybe get pieces of lore and information about that time period, or even around what's going on in the world at that specific moment in Tamriel history. I think that's really fascinating. But yeah, I would say, to answer your question, it would probably be lore around the dwarves, the disappearance of the dwarves, or the Dwemer, and the Battle of Red Mountain and everything that happened there. I think that's a really cool time period in Elder Scrolls history. And the final question comes from Twitter, and this one comes from Bradley Sims, who says, do you think there will be followers like Lydia in Elder Scrolls Online? If so, would you have one? I don't know specifically if they're going to be followers that you can get sort of as like an NPC, someone like Lydia from Skyrim. Personally, I don't think I would want this. And the reason for this is that there's already gonna be enough players playing, and I think if you add another additional NPC that's sort of like a human character that's following you, it's just going to sort of add to the number of people on screen. Personally, I would like to have like a beast following me, whether it's a baby dragon or just something outrageous like that, whether it's just a vanity pet or whether it's something that you can summon using magicka. I think that having a follower like that will aid you in battle is, for me, is a little bit more interesting than having a human follower. That being said though, I definitely didn't dislike having a human follower in Skyrim, because that was actually quite fun. All right, you guys, well, that's gonna about do it for this week's episode of the ESO Show. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to tweet and Facebook your questions to me using hashtag ESO Show. And if you tweet a question to the Elder Scrolls Online, make sure you use hashtag Swifter in your question to them as well, so that if I choose it, I know that it came from one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week, or probably later this week actually, because I don't foresee any internet issues in the future, at least I hope not. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.